Hello guys, and welcome to the video about the new BMW M235. That's the 4-door coupe version of the new 1 Series. In this video I'm gonna talk about the design, the engine, the way it handles, the way it drives, the transmission, and why do I call it the ugly duckling. So first things first, let's talk about the design. This is the most important part, especially in the new BMWs now, where they increase the grille, which each car make it huge, bold, sometimes ugly. The new 4 Series they hiding the grille so much that people have to design based on the camouflaged cars, and basically in the normal cars, let's say 7 Series or X5 or X6, the grille is more vertical, and that's what's gonna happen probably in the 4 Series. And in the coupes, in the sports models, the grille is more horizontal, and that's the first problem I see, because the new 4 Series will definitely have this vertical high tall grille, and this 2 Series and all other coupes, other sports versions, sports models have more horizontal, like the Z4 and this new 2 Series. But in general, I think the design is a bit fussy. I think there is too many different angles, different weird lines. Maybe that's just me, but compared to the Mercedes CLA, which I think is simply gorgeous, is a different story. Mercedes is very composed, very nice design. Now when the CLA is a bit stretched, it's more spacious, it's more like a CLS now. I think it's even nicer than the new CLS, and it's basically, from each angle, it's really much nicer to look at, especially as well when you look at the rear of the 2 Series of the M235. As you can see, the comparison between the X6, which is a huge car, one of the highest in the model lineup of BMW, and you compare that to the 2 Series, which is one of the lowest, and you look at the rear, where both of them should be a sporty rear, and that new style of BMW rears, more sleek, more wide tail lights. But these two cars couldn't be any different. One of them is a small coupe style version of one of the smallest car in the BMW lineup with the 1 Series, and the other is a huge range topping SUV, which is obviously one of the highest models in the BMW lineup. As you can see, they look very similar, if not the same almost, from the back. Not sure if I would be able to recognize them just if it would be dark, and you just look at the lights and you see the only the LED, red LED of the lights. I'm not sure I would be even able to distinguish them. The tailpipes, the license plate surrounding, the style of the lights, the little spoiler styles, they're all very similar, and some people like it, some people don't like it. I don't think it's that bad. On the 2 Series, I've seen the X6 live myself, and I thought it's just hideous from the back. Some people will obviously like it and still buy it, but that's my opinion for the X6. Then we get to the engine, and as you can see here, there's something off here that we already seen in the another 2 Series, which is another funny thing that BMW came up with, even numbers being the sports version of their models, and the 2 Series minivan, I don't remember the name, the MPV basically released, and so you've got 1 Series, which is a hatch, and a 2 Series, which should be a coupe, and then the first one was a coupe 2-door. Then they released a 5-door MPV on top of that, and now they're releasing a 2 Series Gran Coupe, which is a really confusing thing. I don't know, I would just call the minivan the 1 Series MPV or something like that. It's really weird how they reshuffled all the numbers when there was a big outrage, when people were when they changed the M3, you know, the 3 series to 4 series, and there was M4 now with the 2-door. So it was like a considered and thought decision. I think they spent a long time thinking about it, you know, because the M3 is an icon and now this is M4. But they did, you know, did it very weird that they changed the 2 series as well and created a van basically. But what you can see here on the image here is the engine, obviously, but the engine is horizontally, and obviously that already happened with other BMW like the 2 series, the minivan, where the engine is horizontal because obviously of the front wheel drive, which is another big thing in BMW terms. I would probably never buy a front wheel drive, and I will most definitely never buy a front wheel drive BMW because that's the reason I'm buying them, is for the rear wheel drive. So whenever you see an engine like that, you probably be almost sure it's gonna be front wheel drive. The same as in Audis, the engine can be packaged much neater and obviously have more space in the cabin because of that. But that causes also problems with the handling, because obviously it's much harder to transfer some of that power and torque to the rear wheels. So obviously it's gonna suffer. I'm not sure if this car is gonna be easily, you know, driftable, if it's gonna feel like a rear wheel drive, although it's, you know, an X-Drive. I know the normal versions of 2 series will be front wheel drive, so time will tell how the handling of the car will feel. But obviously that's a huge another thing, the BMW going towards that direction of changing cars, you know, the lower models to front wheel drive. So after hammering the outside design and exterior and the engine that is unfortunately now front wheel drive, vertical layout, it's not horizontal. So I want to say some good things about the interior, because I have sat in the new 3 series and I have sat recently in the new Z4, and I can see now the 2 series is exactly the same layout, the same style, the same interior. And you know, some people don't like it that a car that costs, you know, 20 grand will have the same interior as the car that costs 60 grand or 70 grand. Obviously they add more options, more things that you can add, and the higher models obviously have nicer materials and, you know, some extra bits. But I like it personally that the design is uniform, and I think this design, the interior of the new BMWs, really improved compared to the F30, the previous 3 series that I had for a couple of years as well. And I didn't like, you know, the materials. I don't care that much, you know, if they're not, you know, in the places that you touch, like steering wheel or the gear lever. But in general, the design is really dated. It was really weird, not modern compared to some Audis, to compare to even Mercedes, the recent ones. So in this, since the new 3 series, since the new 5 series already 2-3 years ago, BMW really stepped up the game. I especially love the gear lever position, the way it feels, you know. I had the chance to touch it on the 3 series and I really liked it. The way the console is designed now, obviously as usual with the BMW, the screen in the middle is 7 degrees turned to the driver, so it really looks mint, you know. And you've got manual, you've got buttons, you've got something that you can touch, you know, while you're driving and you're looking forward, and it's really nice. And I've seen this new pattern here, this new glow light, you know, in this 2 series that I never seen in other BMW, and I think it really looks cool and really makes it stand out, and maybe something special, something different. I'm not the biggest fan of the new dials. Not many people are, because especially of the rev counter going the other way around and like around the edges of the screen. But obviously that is the way it should be, to leave more space in the middle for the map, for something else. So I think I could get used to it. I was driving the Peugeot 308, which had the same thing, and it didn't bother me that much, you know, as long as you can see clearly, you know, the revs when you need them, or maybe put them in the middle in the sport mode, then it should be fine. So inside, the design is really spot on, and I think BMW is really picking up the game and other chasing the other brands, you know, now. So to sum it up, guys, would you want to buy a BMW M235 xDrive? Let me know in the comments below. Like I said, it's got the design, the overall design of outside is very problematic. You know, some people will love it, some people will hate it. I'm personally not a biggest fan compared especially to Mercedes CLA, which I think is very nicely designed, very nice proportions. Especially this one here is a bit, you know, weird in its proportions, as you can see. The rear is very nice, the front is, you know, okay, but obviously it all depends of your taste and what you expect from the car. And the biggest thing for me will be that how it handles. I personally would have to try the car compared to the Mercedes CLA. If it handles, if it goes in the corners, you know, if it's nice feel of, you know, rear-wheel drive car, then that might, you know, sway me to buy this model instead of Mercedes, because looks are not everything, obviously. So I'm gonna put the specs here, and you're gonna see how much it costs, how much, you know, power it's got compared to Mercedes CLA 35, which should be the equivalent of this car. And, you know, let me know, guys, in the comments what you think about this car. How do you think it looks, the design wise, the engine wise? Do you think it's a game changer to be a mostly front wheel drive car, or is it okay, you know, the interior design and how it stacks up compared to Mercedes CLA? Let me know. Thank you guys for watching. See you in the next one. Look us up.